Alrighty folks, welcome back to another Davis Does Weather live stream. It is April 28th, 2025, 4:26 p.m. Central, 5:26 p.m. Eastern, and we now have an ongoing tornado approaching the community of Fairmont, Minnesota. So if you are included in this tornado warning, we need you to seek shelter immediately on the lowest floor of a sturdy building away from windows and in an interior room. At 4:24 p.m., a confirmed tornado was located near Ceylon, or 8 miles southwest of Fairmont, moving northeast at 60 miles an hour. This is a weather spotters confirmed tornado here, likely on the ground right now north of Ceylon and south of Welcome in Minnesota. This includes portions of I-90 in between Blue Earth and Welcome. If you are included in this tornado warning, again, you need to either be getting underground into a storm shelter or into the middle of your house on the lowest floor. Again, this is now a confirmed tornado moving through portions of Blue Earth as well as Faribault counties. So if you are in this area, seek shelter now. We do have storm chasers DL Scales and Garrett Thompson right in the middle of this tornado warning storm right now. They are currently seeing some of the heaviest rainfall associated with this severe thunderstorm. Not only is this storm going to have the capabilities to produce this tornado for the next several minutes, however, it is also going to have that threat of some large to very large hail as well. Currently warned for quarter-sized hail. I would not be surprised to see some isolated hail, potentially up to golf ball size, especially as those new reflectivity scans are coming in just east of Sherburne. They're showing a pretty impressive view of that hail core with 65 to 70 dBZs pretty consistently. So again, if you're in this area, we need you to be seeking shelter immediately. If you don't know, we are on the cusp of what could be a very large tornado outbreak across portions of the upper Midwest. A day 1 4 out of 5 moderate risk of severe weather has been put in place here for sections of western Wisconsin, northern Iowa, and southeastern Minnesota. This includes the Twin Cities. This does include the Rochester area. This includes La Crosse, Wisconsin, Eau Claire, Waterloo, Iowa, central portions of Iowa. Again, this includes millions of people out here in the upper western Midwest for today, almost 6 million people. And this is driven by a 15% hatch tornado probability across this entire region here, from the I-35 corridor through parts of central Iowa and central Minnesota, back through central Wisconsin. Again, we've got ourselves a moderate risk of severe weather driven by a 15% hatch tornado risk. So what that means is that if you are in this red shaded area here, you are going to have a 15% chance to see a tornado within 25 miles of any given point. Now, a lot of people think that means, oh, there's only a 15% chance of a tornado today. Not true. That means that there is a 15% chance to see a tornado in any given point in this area today. For example, Eau Claire has a 15% chance of seeing a tornado. Rochester has a 15% chance of seeing a tornado. La Crosse has a 15% chance. The Twin Cities have a 15% chance. It is not a 15% chance overall. Again, it is a 100% chance at this point as we have a tornado ongoing, but it is also very likely that we are going to have the threat for a couple other tornadoes today as well. Now, I will note, we're not only going to be watching the upper Midwest today, we've also got a spot down here in southwestern Oklahoma that we're going to be viewing quite closely, as instability values are incredibly high, and it does look to be a pretty incredible environment overall for the threat of a couple of tornadoes and some extreme hail. We do have a supercell firing near Midkiff, Texas right now that's going to be capable of producing some golf ball sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour. You can see that little hail spike there on the reflectivity. So again, a very large hailstorm. If you are in Midkiff or St. Lawrence, make sure that you are getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Again, we're mainly going to be focusing on our moderate risk of severe weather today, though, because in general, this environment looks a lot better. Now, I will say storm mode is pretty iffy out here. Obviously, it's going to be mostly linear, and that will promote a pretty extreme damaging wind threat through the Iowa-Minnesota state line. But I think the greatest chance for a couple of strong tornadoes is going to come back up into central portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin, where the mode is a little bit more discreet, and we're going to have that greater chance of seeing a couple of strong tornadoes. Again, our first tornado of the day is down here just off to the south of Mapleton, right now approaching Fairmont. So if you are in this area, we need you to be seeking shelter immediately. Storm Media has a look at something here. It looks like on the left-hand side of their screen, they've got some sort of lowering. Again, there's a lot of Scuddy activity in here, but we'll keep them pulled up. Again, they have given us permission to use their feed for this chase. I just got sent something. Oh, yeah. There is no thumbnail for this stream, unfortunately. Again, I wasn't expecting to have to go live quite this quickly, so once again, as per usual, we are just dealing with the typical Davis's room thumbnail until it gets going a little bit more, and then we can, it'll throw in like an automatic frame from the stream. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up stream chat. If you do have any questions about your location, make sure to leave those down below, because we are in for what is likely going to be one of the largest days for a tornado threat out of the entire year here. Again, this is not good, and this is not not something that happens too often in this portion of the world at this time of year. Usually, if we're seeing an upper Midwest event, we're talking like, late summer, early fall, especially to this intensity. It's really usually going to have to fall in that time frame. That is not the case this time around, okay? We are dealing with this in late April. Again, not very common. So again, I'm glad to see the usual crowd in here once again. What's up, Kevin? What's up, Mr. Twister, Mr. Storm, Blaine? I'll show that here in just a second, Dakota, but again, as we do likely have an ongoing tornado here still, we are going to make sure that we stay focused on this. Again, as this has been a reported ongoing tornado by a weather spotter. If anybody's in here that would like to write out a chat message just about the chat rules and donations, that would be greatly appreciated. Again, I would do that myself, but we don't really have the time right now since we got to kind of get focused in here. So, again, if this tornado is on the ground, it's going to be going dangerously close to Fairmont, Minnesota. Again, it's tracking east-northeastward. It is going to go extremely close to Fairmont or through Fairmont. So we've got to watch that quite closely there. I will say we are developing some more impressive rotation by every velocity skit. We are developing some more impressive rotation by every velocity scan here with our storm further off to the north, just southeast of the St. Cloud area. Again, this is a tornado warning going out for portions of northern Minnesota. This is for Santiago and Glendorado here. If you are in this area, make sure you are seeking shelter immediately. Again, if we do have a tornado associated with this storm, it would likely be located just northeast of Clear Lake at the minute. So, again, continuing to watch these rotating supercells as they move through portions of Minnesota and Iowa. Again, the tornado that we actually have ongoing is not associated with the supercell. It is embedded in our line of storms here near Fairmont. Again, we can't confirm that this is a tornado on the ground at this point, but it did at least briefly touch down, most likely. So again, I'm going to go ahead and share this stream out with as many people as possible. I encourage you guys to do the same because this is a very rare and large-scale severe weather event to see at this time of year in this part of the world. Excuse me. So again, we're going to stay focused in on this here. Alrighty. So, again, right now we do have 2 tornado warnings in effect, 5 severe thunderstorm warnings. Again, the most concerning storm at this point from a hail perspective is going to be our storm near Midkiff all the way down in Texas here. And I actually would not be shocked to see this storm become tornadic quite soon. It's got quite the environment to work with here, and it's undergone a couple of cell mergers, and that's really going to intensify this thing pretty quickly, I think, at least in terms of a hail threat. Again, potentially even a brief tornado threat if this manages to develop some spin with it, which, again, I think the better environment for that would come a little bit further off to the north and, like, southwestern Oklahoma, far northwestern Texas, but we still can't entirely rule out a tornado this far south. If we take a look at the Storm Prediction Center outlook from the tornado probabilities for today, we can see that we do have a 2% going all the way down into this region. Again, I was kind of surprised they didn't actually add a 10% hatch tornado risk here back into southwestern portions of Oklahoma because there very much is a conditional threat for a strong tornado today just southwest of the OKC metro region near Lawton and Alta, so I would not rule out a brief strong tornado and a couple of tornadoes in general. Again, a tornado watch has been put in place from OKC all the way back down towards Midland, Odessa. So if you are in this area, make sure that you do have multiple ways to receive alerts. Speaking of which, obviously we've got ourselves a couple of tornado watches already going out for portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa here. No PDS tornado watches or anything like that, but we do have them mentioning that a few tornadoes are likely, and if we take a look at the actual probabilities, we can see that this is a 70-60 tornado watch, so a 70% chance of multiple tornadoes occurring and a 60% chance of a strong tornado occurring within this watch area. So again, very likely that we do end up seeing at least a couple of tornadoes and maybe even a brief strong tornado today at the lowest end of this event. We did just get a new severe thunderstorm warning back into parts of Iowa for Spirit Lake and Spencer. If you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors immediately. This is for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour damaging wind gusts. Thank you, Kevin. I'll go ahead and pin that. But again, as we continue to watch our rotating supercell in Minnesota move east-northeastward, we are going to stay live here for as long as necessary. Now, I genuinely can't tell you guys right now if this is going to be, 3 one-hour streams or 1 3-hour stream or longer or shorter or whatever the heck it may be. But I will say I have cleared out my schedule for the entire night. I don't have anything that I have to do. There should not be any points where, I have to go unless something quite serious comes up. So, again, we are going to make sure that we are covering all bases on this event because I don't think a lot of people are talking about how this legitimately could end up being one of the larger tornado outbreaks that we've seen since April 2nd. Obviously, the month of April has been somewhat inactive here compared to most for 2025, but this is definitely a very rare scenario that, again, we almost never see anything like for this time of year. We have never had a 15% hatch tornado risk in the state of Minnesota in the month of April, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I don't think it's ever happened. And I think that goes for the same for Wisconsin as well, actually. Again, a very, very rare setup that we don't see too often. I mean, we had, May 21st, obviously, but that was, for one, a month later. That was also centered way further down to the south, or at least the main risk area was. And again, every other significant tornado outbreak that you can name from the upper Midwest pretty much comes from late August, or excuse me, from late summer into early fall. So it's very rare to see something like this. I just want to point that out. Now, I would like to note here that with our radar indicated area rotation, we actually do have some rotation developing to the southwest with a supercell near Clearwater. So even though this tornado warning is going to have its rotation move out of its polygon here very shortly, I'd recommend you guys stay in your safe spot, because we do pretty clearly have another area of at least broad rotation developing near Clearwater, and that's going to be crossing I-94 within the next several minutes. So we do have several storm spotters on that, so we should get any reports if anything does touch down with that. So again, bringing back up Storm Intermedia here, they have a live look at this tornadic producing storm here near Fairmont, Minnesota. Again, at this point, if we still have a tornado on the ground, it would be near the Northrop and Fairmont area. Again, Storm Intermedia right now located just south of I-90. And then our area of rotation approaching I-94, continuing to stay intact there. Same thing with our area of rotation over Santiago. Again, getting off to a pretty quick start here with this significant severe weather outbreak. So we actually did get a photo sent in via Twitter, and I have gotten permission from Storm Dakota to use this. There was what may have been a very brief tornado, likely just some low-hanging scud or some wall clouds, but potentially a very brief tornado there. This was near the community of Harris, Iowa. Again, you can see maybe we had something going on there, but again, to me, it looks like just a lot of dust being kicked up, and then there was also some quarter-sized hail there or so. So pretty impressive reports sent in from Storm Dakota. Again, if you do have any reports that you want to have me bring up on stream, make sure that you at me, at Davis does WX on Twitter. Again, we are pretty close to 500 followers on there, so make sure to go follow if you have not already. Again, we do a lot of extra weather-related posts and stuff like that on there. So we did just get a update to our tornado warning here, I believe, for the Santiago region. It is still radar indicated. Again, they have mentioned now that, I guess they haven't mentioned the secondary area of rotation to the south, but again, it is intact there, and it's quite obvious just now approaching I-94 south of Clearwater. So if you are in this area, remain in your safe spot. And again, the more impressive area of rotation, the one that is tornado warning near Santiago there at this point, and we're likely going to see a new tornado warning come out for the Princeton area very shortly here. So if you are in Princeton, be ready to seek shelter on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and in an interior room. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued for the south side of the Twin City suburbs. This includes New Prague all the way down towards Mankato in southern and central Minnesota. So if you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors immediately. Some quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts, and potentially even a brief tornado with any broad area of circulation that does develop embedded in this line, similar to what happened further down to the south. So again, going back to that storm, speaking of which, Storm Intermedia still on this, intercepting some very heavy rainfall right now, some occasional lightning strikes. Again, no signs of any sort of tornado damage or anything like that, so that's good news, obviously. Storms are firing in Kansas. Yeah, so Kansas is going to be an interesting spot, because even though we are still going to have the chance to see some severe thunderstorms and even a couple of strong tornadoes back here into eastern portions of Kansas at least, it's kind of our dead zone in southern Kansas, right? We've got ourselves this risk up here in the Midwest, obviously, which stretches down back into the central plains, and then we've got ourselves this risk from parts of Oklahoma back down to the northwest Texas, so it'll be very interesting to see what goes down in southeast Kansas if any storms develop, because it's kind of right in between the areas where we think that the greatest tornado threat's going to be. It's kind of dodging just barely both of them, but we do very clearly have some thunderstorms developing along this dry line here near Salina, Kansas. So again, we'll see what those do as those approach Topeka. Again, definitely going to be the chance for some damaging winds and hail with any severe thunderstorms that do develop in eastern Kansas, and maybe even a couple of tornadoes there. I think especially north of Topeka in the Kansas City area, we couldn't rule out an isolated strong tornado or two. So going back up here into the upper Midwest, again, we do still have an observed tornado warning in effect for Fairmont, Minnesota, and Winnebago. Again, if you are in this area, you need to remain in your safe spot spot, preferably underground, if not underground, on the lowest floor of a sturdy building away from windows and interior room. Literally, as soon as I say that, it gets downgraded to radar indicated. But we do still have a tornado warning in effect in this area, so if you are in this region, make sure that you are staying in your safe spot. But again, at this point, there's no longer a confirmed tornado associated with this severe thunderstorm. So let me go ahead and update the stream title really quickly here. Give me just a second. Alrighty. So, again, oh, that was a bad voice crack. I hope y'all are doing well today. We do have Storm Chaser Freddie McKinney just above my head there right now. He is located out there along the Iowa-Minnesota state line pretty much. His exact location is in Fairmont. Again, he is on this tornado-warned storm right now with Storm Under Media pretty much. So, if something does end up happening with this severe thunderstorm, we're definitely going to know. But again, at this point, this is down to a radar-indicated tornado warning, which means that there's likely no longer an ongoing tornado, but there is still some strong rotation there just north of Fairmont, Minnesota. So if you are in this area, make sure that you are remaining in your safe spot. And our storm further off to the north, again, near Santiago here, I'm almost more impressed with this westerly area rotation, especially after that news scan there. Northeast of Clearwater, I would not rule out a tornado near Clear Lake. Again, if you are in this area, I'd be seeking shelter. Our northeastern area rotation still very impressive. They're just east of Santiago, but this is weakening. The other one's strengthening. So we'll see what happens, but I do think that there is still the potential here for this southern supercell to produce a tornado. You can see a very clear area of inflow, and to me it looks pretty impressive overall. You know what? Let's do it. Let's go ahead and call up the boys. I think they're on call right now. We'll go and join them here. I don't think they're live yet, but we'll see. So Levi and Jesse will be here. Oh. Hello, hello.
Oh my gosh, it's Davis does weather.
There we go. I wanted to bring your attention to something. I don't know if you guys are watching this or not, but south of our tornado-warned storm in Minnesota, there's very impressive rotation developing near Clearwater. And again, a pretty clear area of inflow. There's a nasty supercell. I would not be shocked to see this produce a tornado here within the next couple of minutes.
Are you live?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I need to lock in and get my map done so I can stream.
I feel that. So again, tornado warning remains in effect for Glendorado and Santiago here for the next 120 seconds. Again, I think they're probably going to reissue that there. And if you're in this area, I'd remain in your safe spot because, again, there is very clearly a southern velocity couplet here. I would not even be shocked if there was an ongoing tornado with that near Clear Lake. We'll wait for this next CC scan to see if we have any sort of debris signature. It doesn't look like it, but, again, very impressive velocities, to say the least, along Highway 10. So if you're in this area, make sure you are seeking shelter. And again, our southern storm there, the one that previously did have a tornado ongoing near Fairmont, still producing some very heavy rainfall, some damaging wind gusts, and still has some broad rotation near the Northrop area. So if you are in this area, make sure you are staying in your safe spot. Yeah, yesterday was one of the largest tornadoes I think we've ever seen. We did just get a new tornado warning. They did extend that now for Princeton, Wyanett, and Pease, as we mentioned earlier. So again, if you're in this area, make sure that you are staying in your safe spot, preferably underground or at least on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and in an interior room. Again, broad but strong rotation there south of Glendorado, but I'm almost more impressive with this velocity couplet over Clear Lake at this point along Highway 10 there. But yeah, yesterday's tornado in Nebraska was easily 1 to 2 miles wide. Again, we had derailed cargo trains. There wasn't a whole lot out there to cause damage too, so that's the good news. But I mean, that was just an absolutely monstrous tornado. Again, potentially one of the largest in Nebraska state history. Obviously, Hallam, the second largest tornado of all time, was the largest tornado in Nebraska. I'm not saying it's impossible that it was as large as Hallam, but I highly doubt it. There's just a huge difference between the two based off of the video footage that we've seen so far, in my opinion. But you never know. Again, it's going to be kind of hard to survey because there wasn't a whole lot out there that the tornado damaged, so it may be a while until we find out exactly how large it was.
Gabe Garfield said he thinks that it was larger than Hallam, and he chased.
I saw that comment, and I'm not going to lie, that kind of surprised me. And I mean, it's very possible that it was. Again, from what I've seen personally, and obviously I don't know everything, but from what I've seen, Hallam looked far, far larger than that was. Welcome back, Vincent. But yeah, either way, very, very strong and obviously a massive tornado yesterday. I'd be willing to bet that that is the largest tornado that we've ever covered live on stream by quite a long shot. So going back down here to Texas, our supercell near Mid-Kiff continuing to develop a more and more impressive hail core by the scan. Obviously, a pretty impressive hail spike there as well, so indicative of some potentially lime or larger sized hail there. So if you're in this area, make sure you are getting indoors and away from windows. Again, we do have a report of golf ball sized hail with this severe thunderstorm, and that was whenever the hail core was much less impressive. So at this point, good chance that we're seeing some lime to potentially even tennis or baseball sized hail near Mid-Kiff, Texas. So if you are in this area, make sure that you are getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Again, gotta really stay focused in here on Minnesota, though, especially with our area of rotation just now crossing Highway 10 since it is unwarned. Again, would not be shocked to see that produce a very brief tornado there at this point. It's starting to weaken out, but still something worth mentioning. We also do have some broad velocities developing with a little line of storms here approaching Montrose, Minnesota. And then, again, our storm that previously produced the tornado there near Fairmont still has some pretty impressive rotation near Northrop.
Do you know who all was on that storm that reported it?
Storm Under Media, Freddie, pretty much all the chasers right now. Aaron, J. Jack, Brad, Connor, Vince.
Did they see it?
I don't think so because it would have been incredibly rain-wrapped. But it was a spotter-confirmed tornado. So,
I think Alex Russell would have been on it then, and no tornadoes can hide from him. So, spam refresh his Twitter page.
Okay, buddy.
What?
Well, this was in Iowa or in Minnesota, so I mean, he may have been on it. He may have gone a little bit further north, but
No, I think he was further south. If anything.
So he is, yeah, so he actually probably was on this because he positioned in northwest Iowa. So Salina is already severe. Wow, it is. So if you are near or east of Salina, Kansas, make sure you are getting indoors and away from windows. This is warned for damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour and ping-pong ball-sized hail. This is for portions of I-70 in between Chapman and New Cambria. This does include Abilene, Kansas. And again, I would not be shocked to see this storm start rotating quite soon. I mean, this thing is explosively convected. It's got a lot of lightning production with it. Just looks like a very impressive supercell and a very good and discreet environment overall. So if you are in Abilene, Kansas, make sure you are getting indoors and away from windows and areas down the line. I would be looking out for this because this looks like it has the potential to develop further into something even bigger. So like Junction City, Manhattan, Westmoreland even, be ready. Again, not saying that it's definitely going to produce a tornado, but there's a very good chance. So, again, still some pretty intense rotation there approaching Princeton, Minnesota. So if you are in this area, make sure you are staying in your safe spot. And, again, our velocities on our southern storm, we actually did have a little replacement cycle there near Clear Lake, but it looks like we still got some rotation there along Highway 10 north of Becker. But, again, the storm that everybody's watching right now, the storm that had a confirmed tornado with it less than 30 minutes ago, still having, again, at least some torrential rain there, some damaging winds. But, again, no confirmation if this is actively producing a tornado or not. It's likely that it's not at this point. Because I doubt a QLCS tornado in this environment would be able to last half an hour. It's just a little ridiculous, but it's entirely possible that it spins back up again as this approaches Winnebago. So if you're in this area, make sure you are staying, again, in your safe spot. Again, Freddie and Storm Media both on this severe thunderstorm right now. Freddie's got a really incredible look there at the structure of this thing. What is that? Whoa, Mayday with the $25 donation. W Mayday's in the chat. Oh my goodness. I was not expecting that. Thank you so much for the $25 dono. That's incredible. W Mayday's down below if he's still in the stream here. Thank you so much for the $25 donation. That's incredible. W Mayday, wow. Again, Mayday, if you're still here, thank you so much. That's amazing. Again, donations are completely optional, but Mayday is just goated, so he just does it. So again, thank you so much for the $25 donation. That is insane. He is still here. But again, I really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. That's awesome, because again, this is going to be a very long evening of coverage here, I have a feeling, so I really do appreciate that a lot. So again, huge thank you to Mayday for the $25 dono. That's amazing. Again, Mayday, one of the classic GOATs. Also a member. So W Mayday's in the chat. So again, our area of rotation at this point would be located just east of Northrop. So again, we'll see if this tries to spin up a little bit further and produce a brief tornado or something again. But at this point, again, no confirmed ongoing tornado with that storm, and there hasn't been for quite a while. I will say something that not a lot of people have talked about quite yet, but something that could be quite prevalent, a flash flooding threat. Now, that sounds ridiculous, but you got to remember, we had that morning time round of storms, and then we're also seeing all this, torrential rainfall with these extreme thunderstorms now. So we do have a slight risk of flash flooding here back through sections of southern Oklahoma and north Texas, and that marginal risk of excessive rainfall making flash flooding guidance goes all the way from the Canadian border down to the Mexican border. So again, quite a large threat for some flash flooding today. And again, any areas that we see multiple rounds of severe thunderstorms move over are going to have a pretty elevated chance of seeing some flash flooding. So again, make sure that you are staying aware of that today. It's not just, tornadoes and severe weather that we have to watch out for. But anyway, again, still some broad rotation there now on the north side of Princeton, Minnesota, most likely. Again, velocity is getting a little bit stronger here near Howard Lake with this storm that we mentioned a while ago. And then our storm that previously produced a tornado near Winnebago, still very broadly rotating. Winnebago, sorry. Or as Mr. Storm likes to call it, Winnie-Bagoo. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning for that storm now. That's going out for Mapleton, Waseca, Wells, and Blue Earth. Again, this is for most of Blue Earth County here. When is the peak timing for violent tornadoes? Okay, so let me get this right out of the way. Is a violent tornado 100% absolutely impossible? No. But in my general opinion, it's not very likely that we're going to see, quote, violent tornadoes today. And that's just based off of what we already see. Now, again, that could change. And I said yesterday it wouldn't be super impressive, and I got totally destroyed on that. So there's a good chance that I'm wrong here. But, again, the chance for quote-unquote violent tornadoes would most likely be across parts of northern Iowa at this point, probably like 7 to 10 p.m. That is the corridor where I think we would have the greatest potential to see a violent tornado. Now, again, not saying that that's extremely likely, but if we were to see a violent tornado, that's likely where it would occur. But again, do not forget that every tornado is a damaging tornado. It doesn't have to be violent to cause some panic and destruction. But yeah, about 7 to 10 p.m. there would be the peak time frame for strong tornadoes. Let me put it that way. Yeah, W Mayday's down below for the incredible donation. Mayday's goated, bro. I'm telling you. Again, Mayday is another one of the classic, the OGs, the GOATs. What about peak timing for tornadoes in general? Honestly, the peak time frame for tornadoes in general would probably start about now if you're talking about, even just weaker tornadoes, because, again, these QLCS events typically do bring us even if it's, they're very weak and just brief tornadoes, they do usually bring tornadoes in an environment where you've got, thousands of joules per kilogram of cape. You got yourself an incredible wind shear up to 100 knots. So good chance that the peak time frame for tornadoes is going to be kind of now throughout the rest of the night. But again, the greatest chance for a couple of strong tornadoes would come across northern Iowa, starting at about 7 p.m. most likely. And again, I think that's where we actually could potentially see a couple of stronger tornadoes. We're talking EF2, EF3 intensity, potentially even a little greater. But again, I obviously don't want to pre-rate tornadoes before they even occur. And again, a little bit of a tornado risk definitely can't be ruled out back there towards the Kansas City metro area. I think it all comes down to if cells stay discreet enough. I think at about 9 p.m. there actually could be a conditional risk of a strong tornado back down north of Topeka and north of Kansas City. And then again, our southwestern Oklahoma event mainly looks like it's going to be a wind threat, but I actually would not be surprised to see a brief tornado over the next couple of hours somewhere along the I-40 corridor. So, again, we've really got quite a widespread risk for severe weather and tornadoes today, which is why this is going to be such a long evening. Again, a lot of people were saying, how is there no high risk? How is there no high risk? I don't even want to comment on that because that is just such a controversial topic, but you know what? I'd say I don't want to. I'm going to anyways. The reason, in my opinion, that we don't have a high risk, and again, I'm not the Storm Prediction Center, so I can't personally tell you, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this, there is not enough confidence that we are going to have a discrete storm mode that is going to bring a widespread, catastrophic tornado outbreak, which is what high risks are typically reserved for. Now, again, is there a good chance of some discrete supercells? Absolutely. But are we going to have a guarantee of catastrophic tornadoes today? No. So, again, it mainly comes down to storm mode. New severe thunderstorm warning as well for Esterville, Iowa for some quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts. And we also just got a new tornado watch. That's going to be going out for most of the central plains here. Levi, are you still there? Oh, he's not. My boy dipped out on me. I guess I was talking too much. But again, brand new tornado watch just issued for Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. Again, most of the central plains here. Let me see if I can actually find that. Here you go. So a few tornadoes likely, scattered hail up to apple-size likely, and scattered gusts up to 75 miles an hour likely. Again, as we stated, definitely going to be a conditional risk for a brief strong tornado as well north of the Kansas City metro area. I'm trying to bring this up on your screen, but it's not working. That's going to be in effect until midnight. There we go. And again, that goes all the way from Des Moines back down into parts of Kansas. So, quite a large tornado watch vertically. So if you're in this area, be prepared tonight. Again, that tornado watch remains in effect until midnight. So again, our severe thunderstorm moving towards the Abilene area at this point mostly looks to be linear. Almost like a mini little QLCS event here. It's possible that this turns into a more, something that resembles more of a supercell very shortly. But as of right now, I don't think the tornado threat is too intense with this, but some damaging wind gusts, some hail still possible there along I-70 near Abilene. So if you're in this area, make sure you are staying indoors and away from windows. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning just issued as well. That's going to be going out for our Texas storm here. And this is one for ping pong ball sized hail, 70-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts. If you're in Garden City, St. Louis, or Midkiff, make sure you are moving indoors and away from windows. I'd also like to note these storms are moving relatively slowly, and there's multiple rounds. So again, that flash flooding risk definitely going to be increased. We do have a flash flood warning already in effect here for the areas that this train of severe thunderstorms has crossed over. Again, that is going to be going out for portions of Upton, Reagan, and Crane counties. So again, turn around, don't drown when encountering flooded roadways. So again, let me know where y'all are tuning in from, because, I mean, we've got over 100 million people today quite literally facing the threat for severe weather. Maybe not 100 million people, but well over 50 million. Again, we've got 19 million people in our marginal risk, 14 million in our slight risk. We've got 8 million in our enhanced and 6 million in our moderate. And again, obviously, it's not impossible for some severe thunderstorms capable of producing some gusty winds to develop outside of our risk areas. And honestly, whenever this event is said and done, over 100 million people will have fought the threat for severe weather, because this same little QLCS event that we're watching right now is going to have the chance to bring tornadoes, damaging winds, and hail to portions of the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, and all the way back down to the Southern Plains tomorrow. Again, a double enhanced risk of severe weather now in place for tomorrow. Again, if we take a look at the tornado probabilities, there is a 5% tornado risk for parts of northwest Texas and southwest Oklahoma. The threat out there for tornadoes tomorrow looks very similar to the threat out there for a couple of tornadoes today. Hold on, we'll get back into that in just a second here, but we did just get a brand new tornado warning, and that is actually an observed tornado warning. So again, another ongoing tornado with this storm near Winnebago, Mapleton, and Minnesota Lake. If you're in this area, seek shelter immediately on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and in an interior room. Again, this is a live look from that severe thunderstorm that is actively producing a tornado now. So if you're in this area, you need to get underground or in a storm shelter. This is a Weather Spotters confirmed tornado, or a funnel cloud, rather. I think that's what the last report was, too. I don't think it was actually a confirmed tornado, but a confirmed funnel cloud. And this National Weather Service, I guess, Twin Cities issues confirmed warnings for funnel clouds. But either way, if you're in this area, you need to be seeking shelter immediately. Again, developing tornado most likely near Winnebago. I keep wanting to call it Winnebago now because I was making fun of him earlier for it. Anyways, Davis' mom reveal, she walks in here all the time. Apparently Vince has it on the ground, according to Mr. Twister. Well, there's some damage. Ground circulation. I don't know if this is, true or not, but, again, supposedly there was ground circulation here on Storm Chaser Vince Welty. I don't see anything confirmed, but maybe I missed it. Okay, apparently it was there just a minute ago. So thank you for telling me that again. Likely an ongoing tornado, or just a minute ago or so there was, approaching Minnesota Lake in Minnesota. So if you are in this area, seek shelter immediately on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and in an interior room. Again, going back up to Princeton here, watching that broad area rotation along Highway 169. Again, I'm a little bit more concerned about this since we have had multiple reports now of an ongoing funnel cloud and even a brief touchdown of that tornado. So we're going to watch this a little bit closer here. Going back down to Iowa, again, this is mainly just going to be a damaging wind threat associated with our large QLCS. Again, moving through Esterville right now, we did have a reported gust of 60 miles an hour from the Spirit Lake area. We used to have a Radar Mega camera out there, but not anymore. Anyways, again, it is going to be very tricky to see the velocities here. One, because this is a QLCS event, and also we're looking at this about, I'd say 75 miles or so away from radar. So we're not going to know exactly where this tornado is located if it does redevelop. But okay. I said this just a little bit ago on the community tab. I'm going to be honest, southwestern Oklahoma looks legitimately more impressive than our 15% hatch risk. And that is entirely contingent on storm mode. But if we see discrete supercells, there is nothing stopping the potential for a very intense tornado out here in southwestern Oklahoma tonight. Again, the 21Z run of the HRRR gives us that perfect example of an environment that is going to be extremely conducive for tornadoes if we do get discrete supercells to develop. And again, that's a huge if. That's the problem. So these cells are likely not going to be super discrete, but if they are for, even just a little period of time, there is a good chance that we see a very intense tornado threat with some of those. Why is a 15% hatch tornado risk Minnesota and Wisconsin if the biggest tornado threats in northern Iowa? Well, keep in mind the 15% hatch risk also goes into northern Iowa. And again, there is still the chance of discrete supercells developing back into parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. If that happens, there will be a big-time tornado threat out here in this area as well. But in my opinion, it's a little bit more likely further down to the south. Big-time video of the ongoing tour? Is that via Storm Chaser or what? Just let me know. Oh, wow, yeah, you can see that. Yep, that's an ongoing tornado. Oh, that was a bad voice crack. That's an ongoing tornado there in Minnesota. Again, if you're in this area, seek shelter. This is a huge bowl cloud here. I don't even think that's a thing. I don't know why I just called it a bowl cloud, but dust bowl. Again, if you're in this area, seek shelter immediately. Ongoing large tornado now in Minnesota. Again, this is Storm Chaser Vince Welty. Again, large tornado on the ground right now. You can see all that dust being kicked up there. So if you're in this area, seek shelter immediately. Again, pretty impressive tornado there as of right now. Wow, look at that thing. Look at that thing. Let's check Brad Arnold. Okay, he's not looking at it right now, but... again, large tornado ongoing here. Approaching Minnesota Lake. So if you're in this area, seek shelter. Again, on the lowest floor of its 30 building, away from windows and in an interior room. Yeah, this thing is huge. Wow. My goodness, dude. Yeah, there is a very impressive video of the tornado whenever it even looked like a briefly multi-vortex tornado as well just a little bit ago. So again, if you're in this area, you need to be seeking shelter. Very intense tornado southeast of Winnebago, Minnesota. Again, tree line kind of blocking the view there now on Vince's feed, but again, likely a large tornado ongoing. Again, Storm Media looks like they're heading off to the east here. Yeah. So, again, I guess they're just going to position for these northern Iowa storms later tonight. But, I mean, either way, again, ongoing tornado here in Minnesota. Right in the middle of that field, you see all that dust being kicked up. Oh, my goodness. Again, likely quite a strong tornado here. Wow, look at that thing. That thing is huge. So again, if you're just not tuning in, this is an ongoing tornado approaching Minnesota Lake. I'm going to get a little picture of that. Again, huge tornado on the ground. Kicking up a lot of dust out here. Whoa, oh yeah. Look at that thing. My goodness, dude. And again, Brad Arnold is very dangerously close to this thing. I don't know how he doesn't have a view of it. Oh, wait, is that it right there? I think it is. It's just very pixelated. Yep, that's the tornado. So, again, ongoing large tornado right now near DeLaven, Minnesota. This is going to go right through DeLaven. So if you are in DeLaven, you need to be underground or in a storm shelter. Again, this is a strong tornado now entering the town of DeLaven. Yeah, this is going to go right through. Wow, look at that. Again, big-time tornado right now approaching DeLaven, Minnesota. Again, we can't confirm its actual strength, but the view of it is very impressive. Again, very photogenic tornado kicking up a lot of dust as this thing enters DeLaven. Again, we're kind of getting spotty signal out here, but again, this is a confirmed tornado now. So if you're out here, you need to seek shelter. I know, right? I mean, it's not even a fully condensed funnel there. I mean, this is really interesting. And again, that, oh my goodness, yeah, that is going right through DeLaven. Oh, wow. Yep, big-time tornado ongoing right now. So again, if you're in this area, remain in your safe spot. Again, likely a strong tornado ongoing near DeLaven, Minnesota, approaching Minnesota Lake. Again, if this stays on the ground, it is going to go right towards Minnesota Lake. So, seek shelter. New severe thunderstorm warning for Spencer, Iowa. So for some quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Again, it's an extension for a warning of our QLCS. But again, ongoing tornado here. So we're going to focus in on this. This is Storm Under Media. Again, very ominous view there of that leading edge of the storm. Again, likely a large tornado ongoing. You can see a lot of dust getting kicked up there. I don't know if that's the actual tornado or not, but again, Brad's feed is very pixelated right now, obviously, because this area is not great for service, but I mean, this thing is still on the ground. Again, pretty large tornado there. So, we need you to be in your safe spot. Oh my goodness, yeah, this thing is huge. Wow, look at that thing. Again, this is an absolutely incredible tornado right now. That we have a live look of. Oh my goodness, dude. Yeah, look at that tornado. Look at all that dust being kicked up. Wow. That is eerie. So again, this is now going to be approaching Easton and Minnesota Lake. There's a good chance that the actual tornado is outside of the warning polygon. Oh my goodness. This is Vince. Yeah, look at that. So if you are in Easton, you need to be in your safe spot. And here's Storm Media. Wow. Yeah, that's because this was a funnel cloud reported. It was not a confirmed tornado at the time they issued it. But again, we know that this is on the ground now. Look at that motion, dude. I mean, that is really impressive. Wow. Again, I can't get over that. Look at that, dude. My goodness. So again, large tornado ongoing. Pretty much in Easton, in Minnesota. Again, this thing is quite large. Kicking up a lot of dust there. Again, this is Storm Media. Wow, look at that. It's crossing the road right now. Right now. Again, this is a very large tornado that we have ongoing near Easton. Look at that thing. My goodness. So again, large tornado on the ground right here. Very photogenic. Near Easton, Minnesota. Again, if you're in this area, you need to be running to your safe spot, not walking. Because this is now basically in the town of Easton. Yeah, this thing is huge. Again, it's not doing a lot of damage or anything, but we can't guarantee that that's not going to change. Again, this is like more of a land spout than anything else. It's not even associated with our area of rotation, I don't think. But very photogenic tornado to say the least. Wow, dude. Again, it looks like this thing occluded, but very impressive tornado there for at least a short period of time. Actually, quite a long period of time. That big of a land spout is crazy. I mean, it's happened before. And it looks like it just happened again there. I mean, it's definitely not associated with our area of rotation, so almost certainly a land spout. And again, that's also probably why it was doing very minimal damage. Alright, so new severe thunderstorm warning just issued. That's going out for Clay Center and Green in Kansas. This is for one of our supercells that's developed here. It's for golf ball sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. So if you're in Wakefield, Clay Center, or Green, make sure you are getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Again, I can't get over this beautiful storm. Look at those clouds, dude. Is that Mamatus? I think it just may be. I mean, this is some beautiful structure here from Storm Media. Again, after this storm just produced a large land spout near Minnesota Lake. Again, very interesting. Have not seen something like that in a while in Minnesota, that's for sure. Again, look at that. Mamatus warning. This is a PDS Mamatus warning. Again, there's a good chance that this does try to produce another land spout or at least a brief tornado. So if you're in this area, make sure you are staying in your safe spot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was ever a 10 hatch in Oklahoma today. Oh, yeah, there was. Yeah. Likely just due to lacking confidence of storm mode, as the models began to point towards the idea that, hey, maybe this would be mostly linear instead of discrete. But, again, I'm not the SPC, so I couldn't tell you myself. Again, I'm not trying to just be, a Storm Media reaction channel, but this is a beautiful view of these storms here. So again, if you're just now tuning in, we just had a large land spout approaching Minnesota Lake. I'm going to let you guys guess what state it's in. Again, a lot of dust was kicked up. Some corn crops likely destroyed, but not a whole lot of damage. Again, we're going to start to see a huge damaging wind threat here elevate through the Twin Cities region and southward over the next little while as this QLCS continues to develop. I mean, this honestly could end up being classified as a derecho by the time everything is said and done. It's entirely possible. We do have some storms developing in Wisconsin. I think more than anything else, this is just going to bring some heavy rain. And the environment this far north is kind of destroyed after the morning convection that we had. That's why the enhanced risk stops by the time you get to Duluth, and then you're dealing with a slight risk or lower the further north you go there. Did yesterday have a higher ceiling than today? I'd say so, yeah. But again, the floor for yesterday was so much lower than today. I mean, today we are almost guaranteed to see some decently impressive tornadoes. Again, I say almost, just because if discrete cells don't fire, it's a very low chance that we see anything else too impressive. But again, either way, damaging winds will be a huge threat here for the upper Midwest overnight. So, going back down to our Texas storm, they have re-upgraded this up to golf ball sized hail. So if you're in St. Lawrence or Garden City, make sure you are getting indoors and away from windows. Again, that is in West Texas there, just south of Midland, Odessa. Same area had a tornado emergency last year. So, again, continuing to watch this tornado warned storm near Winnebago. Actually does look like we have some rotation right over the Winnebago area. Again, that last funnel that we had there, that was a land spout. It was a non-condensed, so it wasn't even really a funnel. But, again, that last tornado that we had, if you want to call it that. I really do think we actually did have a brief tornado, though, because spotters did report a fully condensed funnel. And there was also a tornado confirmed via Vince Welty before that didn't look like it was coming from the same area. So, very good chance that there actually was a fully condensed, at least brief tornado in this area at some point. I don't know that for a fact, but I'd say it's very likely. Oh, sorry, I had to sneeze. Had to make sure that I unmuted there. Sometimes it doesn't. But, anyways, again, just continuing our coverage here. Again, we've been live now for just under an hour. Again, make sure to like up the stream. Let's see if we can hit 50 likes. That would be incredible. Again, obviously, all the other big names are live today. It's not like yesterday where nobody else was live, so our audience will be cut a little bit short because of that, but that's all right. Again, going back down here to Texas, these supercells are really going to have a very low chance of producing a tornado. It's not entirely impossible, but I think some significant hail could be a good likelihood over the next little while with these. Again, you can see there on the reflectivity presentation, that swath of 70-plus dBZs, that's where we believe the largest hail is falling with this thunderstorm. Again, look at all that spotter conversions here, dude. Again, you can see on those chasers feeds that there are a lot of folks out here chasing right now. A lot. I will say, last night there was a pretty terrifying looking radar scan of the supercell after the mega wedge. Again, look at all those Mammatus clouds. PDS Mammatus warning, dude. Again, I mean, this is like a chaser's dream here, considering that this thing has no tornado associated with it. This is about as cool as you're going to get. Again, it's not impossible. Oh, we actually do have a funnel cloud developing with this. Yeah, so large funnel there via SRM. Again, potential tornado trying to develop. If you're in this area, make sure you're seeking shelter. Actually, it looks like it's just Scud. Yeah, it was just Scud weirdly positioned. But that looked like something there for a sec. Describe last night in 2 words, I'd say braking velocities. I don't know what I'd say. We do have a new tornado warning here for another portion of our QLCS, as we do have some broad rotation developing near Janesville, Minnesota. So if you're in this area, make sure you do seek shelter immediately in the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and in an interior room. This is going to be approaching Deerfield, Waterville, and Morristown over the next 20 to 30 minutes. So again, make sure that you're in your safe spot out here. Look at that, dude. Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Again, this is a live look from Stormwater Media. Again, just look at how ominous that is back there, dude. Look at that lightning. Again, we do have their permission to use their feed here for this stream, along with several other chasers. Again, a lot of scud, but a beautiful thunderstorm, to say the least. Beautiful. Again, you can see all those low-hanging scud clouds there. I almost wonder what this is off to the right. I mean, I guess it's just probably a weird positioning of the clouds there from this angle, but I actually agree with that. Orcs. I don't think there's quite enough evidence to support EF5 intensity, but it definitely would have been an EF4+. Because there have been times where radars have overshot stuff. I mean, you got a good example from Hooks, Texas, New Boston. You've got a good example from, I'd say, Port Arthur. You got a good example from, what else? I mean, several other noteworthy tornadoes. The velocities were just, like, unbelievable. And the surface weren't quite as impressive. So I don't think velocities are quite enough to go off of, but yeah, I agree with you. Definitely would have been higher than EF3. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning all the way back into South Dakota here. Got a couple of thunderstorms developing near Platte. So perhaps dollar size hail and 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts. So if you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors and away from windows. So parts of Highway 18, Highway 46, near Pickstown. Again, some pretty large hail there. So make sure you are staying weather aware. Again, probably not quite as intense as it actually looks because we are very far away from the radar site, but still something to definitely look out for. So again, SRM here, currently watching the leading edge of these storms. Again, just a beautiful shelf cloud there. That's going to be another picture I'm sending in to the boys. We have had some incredible structure with this thing. And again, that nasty looking land spout there for a while. Alright. So again, rotation intensifying there, approaching Palmer. If you're in this area, make sure you are staying in your safe spot. You are under a radar indicated tornado warning. So again, potential tornado trying to develop there near Palmer and Waterville. Alrighty. Amory did look absolutely insane on the radar. That is for true. Again, impressive velocities there south of Waterville now. And sorry I wasn't really saying anything there for a good minute. But I would watch this. I would say there's a good chance that this ends up being our next tornadic area of rotation. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued. That's going to be going out for Kansas Storm for Abilene once again. This is now up to lime-sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. So again, if you're in Abilene or Chapman, make sure you are getting indoors and away from windows. Again, going back out to Minnesota, our velocity south of Waterville looking quite impressive for a QLCS area of rotation anyways. Probably not, Mr. Twister. 2027 looks like a much better opportunity for me. So, sorry. But it's not impossible still. It's just not very likely. I will definitely be at 2027, though. Unless something, like, extreme comes up. So, again, weakening rotation with our storm near Mapleton. Again, at this point, our more impressive area of rotation going to be coming north of Waseca. Again, I feel like this next velocity scan is going to look pretty impressive here. Base velocities have a good look at this rotation. Storm relative velocities have a great look at this rotation. So, again, pretty clear that we do have something going on here. Again, this is probably the best view that we could see of this right now from the storm relative velocities. That is what things are looking like. And again, if we look higher up in the atmosphere, they probably look even more impressive. We'll look at tilt 2 here. Whoops. Oh, you can't look at tilt 2 on high res. Okay. Well, the new regular high res velocity scan has come in. And again, still very impressive rotation there. It did take a significant turn off to the north. So again, this is going to be getting dangerously close to Waterville. So if you are in Waterville, you need to be seeking shelter. Again, likely a developing tornado west of Palmer here. So make sure that you are staying in your safe spot. I do indeed. I do cover hurricane season. Yeah, last year we did hours and hours on end of coverage for Beryl, Debbie, Francine, Helene, Milton, even Kirk we talked about so much, even though it didn't make any landfall anywhere. So yeah, we definitely cover hurricane season. And again, 2025 looks to be, I'd say, slightly above average. So we will be on the lookout. What's up, Dahani? How's it going? Again, we're going to take a quick break from the radar here. We'll actually look at our Enzo phase forecast. It's actually pretty interesting. Again, this is your mid-April 2025 model-based probabilistic Enzo forecast. You can see that we are most likely going to be remaining in a neutral phase for the rest of the year. It's very possible that we see a change in this graph. A bigger shift to El Nino or a bigger shift to La Nina, but it looks like for the foreseeable future, we are going to be in a neutral phase. And this is basically going along with what NOAA says as well. So again, the Climate Prediction Center, NOAA, they also believe that there is a good chance that we are going to remain in a neutral phase for the rest of the year here. They say a La Nina is more likely than an El Nino if things do switch over, but again, overall, they still have neutral dominating. Again, this is the past look. You can see we are actually starting to get above average there again with our sea surface temperature anomalies. So, again, very well in a neutral phase right now. It's not like we're in an El Nino or anything. But I honestly would not be shocked to see an El Nino pattern start to ramp up by the end of the year. So we'll see. Again, rotation getting even more impressive as this approaches Morristown. I mean, there's a good chance that this actually produces quite a strong tornado here. So we're going to keep watching this, certainly. Pretty concerning there. And the new velocity scan just came in. Kills it off a little bit. Yeah, it's going to be approaching I-35 near Faribault very shortly. By the way, we did get a recorded gust of 74 miles an hour from the Esterville, Iowa airport. So again, this QLCS is already raging across the Iowa-Minnesota state line with destructive winds here, most likely. Speaking of which, new very large severe thunderstorm warning for most of the QLCS, at least the middle portion of it. This is for Owatonna and Albert Lee. If you're in this area, make sure you're getting indoors and away from windows. Half dollar size tail and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Seek shelter inside a well-built structure and stay away from windows is the National Weather Service's note there. Yeah, very large severe thunderstorm warning. So, again, I'm still watching this area of rotation as it approaches Morristown. Because, again, if this does produce something, it's likely going to go dangerously close to Morristown. And that new velocity scan there definitely supports the idea that, hey, this could do something. So we'll see what happens. Huge gustnado on Brandon's stream. Can't bring up Brandon's stream on our feed because we don't have his permission, but let's check it out. Would not shock me because this thing has been producing a lot of those big old nasty land spouts. I don't see anything as of right now. His feed is completely white. Very bright. Oh yeah, I went back though, I see that. Well, that was actually a huge land spout. Very intense. Is there a cap for Central Iowa? Not at this point. It has eroded, so Central Iowa, again, Northern Iowa, in my opinion, is going to be the hot spot, but anywhere north of Des Moines is going to have an extremely elevated tornado threat. And you can see all of our spotters lining up here in this area. Even though there's nothing right now, that is because we are expecting that to change. And actually, this little guy that just passed by Storm Lake is a good example of something that could be problematic once it taps into this environment. New severe thunderstorm running back into portions of Kansas. This is for one of our supercells. Gulf Bowl-sized hail damaging winds up to 60 miles an hour. Going to be a possibility as this approaches Leonardville and Randolph. Waverly, Iowa? I've got you. Waverly. I know where that's at. I don't know why I looked it up. But, so, again, there's actually going to be quite a significant tornado risk for Waverly, but I will tell you there's a good chance at the same time that a lot of those supercells go north of you. Again, this in particular is where the newest run of the HRRR likes the best swath of a tornado threat to be, so kind of right over the Waverly area, but also to the north a little bit. But you need to make sure that you do have multiple ways to receive alerts because it could be a late-night thing. Looks like the greatest tornado threat could be 9-10 p.m. But outside of that, I mean, you're not going to get impacted by this QLCS, most likely. You're not going to have any sort of major hail threat unless a supercell tracks over you from that same band. It doesn't really look like it's going to be too significant for that area. A gustnado emergency just declared. Gustnado emergency, guys. In all seriousness, broad rotation continuing to approach Morristown. I'm a little concerned for this because this is a little bit more of a populated area than what we've been talking about for most of the stream. Faribault is probably holding 10 to 20,000 residents, if I had to guess. Let's actually take a look at that. Excuse me. Oh, wow, it's actually even more than that. It's about 25,000 people. So, again, quite a large city there, and there's a good chance that it's going to go right through Faribault. So, again, if something touches down there, that could be problematic. And then we got a couple of other larger population centers here as well, so we'll see what happens. But yeah. Alright. So, yeah, no problem, the honey. We are now at 4,152 subscribers. We hit 4,200 by the end of the week. That'd be amazing. Amazing, chat. Again, thank you guys for all the support recently. Wow, look at that. You can see that little notch into the storm there near Morristown. That's where your area of rotation is. There's your inflow. You can also similarly see that with our storm near Minnesota Lake. We've got a little secondary area of rotation that are most likely developing. So again, tornado warning remains in effect for Waldorf and Minnesota Lake for the next 11 minutes. Same thing for Faribault. So make sure that you are staying in your safe spot if you are in either of these areas here. Going back down to Texas, this storm is continuing to produce significant hail and damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour, also quite electrified. So this is going to be approaching the general vicinity of Sterling City, which has been an area that has not seen a break once in like the past week and a half. So if you are in Sterling City, make sure you are prepared to seek shelter if necessary. Again, not expecting a huge tornado threat with this, but some large hail and damaging wind gusts could bring similar impacts to a weak, brief tornado. Intriguing supercells near Chapman, yeah. We kind of been watching those. Again, if these manage to become discrete, we cannot rule out an isolated strong tornado tonight north of Kansas City, in my opinion. Pretty favorable environment there, so we'll see what happens. But tornado warning continues for Faribault. Again, still radar indicated. Again, if there was to be a tornado with this, it would be near Morristown right now, but likely not ongoing. And going back down into Iowa here, again, mainly watching for some significant damaging winds. This is not really a part of our QLCS here anymore. Near Gredinger, but in a way that could actually increase our tornado threat since these are now discrete. So we'll watch this. New severe thunderstorm warning. That is going to be going out for our storm in Texas. They did extend that like we expected. Golf ball size hail damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Again, that includes Sterling City and areas to the north. So make sure that you are getting indoors and away from windows. Well, that's just kind of the general pattern for late spring and early summer across usually all of Dixie. Again, today it's limited to areas right up along the Gulf Coast, but getting some wind, some hail, nothing too crazy out there in the Florida Panhandle tonight. I didn't even notice this, but one of our storms in Wisconsin did manage to become severe, and it has a pretty impressive hail spike there. Part of that could be chalked up to the fact that this is very far from radar, but some half-dollar size hail definitely going to be a possibility with that. Approaching Iron River in the UP of Michigan, so make sure that you are moving indoors and away from windows, and they literally just extended that now. It's now one for ping-pong ball-sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour for Crystal Falls. So going back down into Minnesota, still watching this broad area of rotation near Deerfield. Again, it's at this point in the event where everybody hops on social media and they say, this is a bust, this is a bust, this is a bust. You're going to see that all over for the next 1 to 2 hours because there hasn't been a mega wedge in the first little bit of the event. So I would recommend just completely avoiding that and using the knowledge that I know a lot of you guys have on radar and meteorological environments and everything else. Use your own knowledge for this. Don't trust what most people say on the internet unless you know they're a reliable source right now, because this is the time frame where kind of for the next 1 to 2 hours, or even all the way up until something actually incredible does happen, everybody is going to be saying this is a bust. And it could be a bust, but do we know that yet? Absolutely not. We still have so much time to go. Discrete supercells haven't even developed yet in Iowa, and that's where we're thinking the greatest strong tornado threat's going to come from. So again, avoid looking at, random social media posts unless you know for a fact that they are reliable sources that know what they're talking about, because this is the point of the event where everybody does it. Everybody has done it at some point. Again, maybe if those supercells just don't develop in Iowa, then we could call this a bust. But until then, we absolutely cannot say anything of the sorts, at least with confidence. I mean, that's just a guess to say that. The reason I'm pointing that out right now is because I've already seen one person say that. Again, obviously one person doesn't determine the entire trend of a social media platform, but just based off of my history of doing that during an event like this, it is going to go downhill quickly. New severe thunderstorm warning for Quantit and Chillicothe, Texas for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. If you're in this area, make sure you're moving indoors. Pretty quickly developing thunderstorm there. Severe one there really early. And another new severe thunderstorm warning back for Manhattan and Junction City, Kansas for a QLCS. Damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour and golf ball sized hail possibility with that, so make sure you are moving indoors and away from windows. And again, our broad rotation continuing there just north of Deerfield. Eventually going to be approaching Faribault. I just realized it's pronounced Faribault, not Faribault, like I've been saying. The I is after the R. Give me just a second. Alrighty, so brand new severe thunderstorm warning just issued. That is going to be going out for parts of Iowa. For quarter-sized hail, damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. That is for Gredinger and Armstrong. Make sure you are moving indoors. They put the tornado possible tag on this just because it is entirely possible that we do see broad rotation eventually develop embedded in that line. But as of right now, no sort of rotation associated with that, most likely. At least that's not visible on radar. But we are quite far away from radar, so we'll see. Again, this Iowa thunder shower here in particular is likely going to get swallowed by our QLCS, but if we see like any more blips develop a little bit further south or west, like this near Storm Lake, we are going to have to watch, because those are going to be tapping into the most favorable environment that we have today. Exactly. Like, I love how people will just say bust, like, 2 minutes into an event because nothing has happened yet. That's super unbelievable. I mean, there is still so much time tonight for something big to happen. And again, we hope that it doesn't, but there is the very real chance that it does. Again, at this point, my target zone, for the most part, would be north central and northeast Iowa. Maybe far southeastern parts of Minnesota. Originally, like a week ago, for my target zone, I said central Iowa, so I wasn't too far off. We did just get a brand new tornado warning for Owatonna, Minnesota. So if you're in this area, make sure you are seeking shelter immediately in the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and an interior room. A lot of broad rotation there, about to cross I-35. Again, Owatonna, very populated. I think it's like a 30 to 40,000 30 to 40,000 people live there, I believe. Let's find out. Okay, so it's actually only about 26,000, but still very large. Alrighty. So again, Alex Russell is now in Iowa here again. I don't know if he ever went into Minnesota, but if he did, he's now back on our Iowa storm near Gredinger. So again, if you're in this area, make sure you are getting indoors. Damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour possible in quarter-sized hail. The reason I mention that at all is because Alex Russell's like the new Brad Arnold. He's the tornado sniffer. Speaking of this area, again, brand new tornado warning just issued. If you're in this area, make sure you do seek shelter immediately on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, away from windows and interior room. We got a couple supercells here. Again, as we mentioned earlier, as these broke apart from the line, their tornado threat instantly increased. So if you're in this area, seek shelter immediately. Again, Alex Russell, where he goes, that's where it happens. That's how things work here. So, again, make sure you're seeking shelter in this area in Gredinger, but especially Ringstead and Armstrong, as it looks like the rotation is with the main supercell here is already past Gredinger. Again, I say the main supercell, but it's entirely possible that either one of them does produce a brief tornado. So, we'll see what happens. But, getting brand new tornado warning there for parts of Iowa. Did we just get 2 reflectivity scans, or was that a glitch? I think we literally just got 2 reflectivity scans within like 20 seconds. Sometimes it like goes back and then re-comes in though, so I don't really know. Similar to what the warnings do. So again, about 2,300 people included in this warning polygon here. And we just got another new tornado warning for our Faribault storm in Minnesota. This is an extension for Faribault, Cannon City, Nerstrand, and Kenyon. If you're in this area, seek shelter immediately. Broad rotation about to cross I-35 there, just east of Warsaw. Again, over 30,000 people included in this tornado warning. As well as the Faribault Hospital. So again, seek shelter in this area. That broad rotation still moving over Owatonna. Will not be shocked to see a brief tornado there. We're about to see that get hit by a cell merger as well. Actually, that's kind of happening right now, so that may intensify the rotation even further. So we really got to watch this micro storm interactions there. Again, if you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe. We do this every day for areas all across the country. We were one of the only channels on the entirety of YouTube live last night covering the monstrous Nebraska tornadoes. Again, obviously those were in incredibly rural areas, so not a whole lot to that we've seen so far in terms of damage quite yet. But unbelievable tornadoes last night, without a doubt. Again, even after we ended stream, there were a couple more that were very impressive, especially in radar. And again, in that kind of situation, radar is about all you have to look at, because there's no damage, because nobody lives out there. There were no chasers on them, because there's a horrible road network, and the event was already ending. So at that point, all you can really base things off of are radar observations, and they looked pretty impressive. By the way, one of our Kansas storms has now been upgraded to tennis ball-sized hail, damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. There's a report of tennis ball-sized hail from Leonardville. If you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors and away from windows. We'll likely see an extension of that warning very shortly as the storm's starting to exit the warning polygon, and these are two different National Weather Service offices, I believe. Maybe not, actually. I don't think they are. I think it's both Kansas City. Or you know what? No, this would be Topeka. Yeah, this is Topeka. But I think this is still Topeka up here. So again, area rotation near Faribault, continuing there over the Casper sliding area. It's starting to do something interesting here. Weaken for a little bit. It's about to re-intensify, it looks like. So if you're south of Faribault, or in Faribault, or east of Faribault, you need to be seeking shelter. I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it was 200 plus, but there's just not going to be any damage to confirm that. But the amount of times that we have seen a tornado that large and it hasn't had gusts that could have easily been over 200 miles an hour are slim to none. So, a lot of people are comparing it to Essex. In my opinion, that looked larger than Essex. Not a lot larger, but larger. And keep in mind, Essex was a mile wide. So, I mean, and again, obviously there have been some people, saying that it was larger than Hallam. People that chased Hallam are saying it was larger than Hallam. And if that's true, then we are talking about potentially the largest tornado of all time. Now, I personally don't believe that, but I didn't chase the Hallam tornado, so I can't say anything. For anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, Hallam, Nebraska was the second largest tornado of all time, just after El Reno. It was in southern Nebraska. I know it's right up along the Nebraska-Kansas state line. We could just look it up, but I wanted to challenge myself and find it, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that, so that's fun. Anyways. Well, and Dixie will likely never bring us a tornado of that size, in my opinion. And that's a discussion for another day, because that is a belief that needs to be explained why I think that. But, again, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of that right now. So we may do that on another stream, or we may even just have a video about that, because I find that to be a really interesting topic that I've been thinking about a lot lately. But yeah. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning for West Concord. If you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors. Damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour and quarter-sized hail possibility, again, associated with the middle portion of our QLCS. Can't rule out some embedded rotation either. I'm kind of surprised they didn't slap the Tor possible tag on that one, but obviously NWS knows best, or at least better than I do. So, But yeah, I mean, the top 5 largest tornadoes of all time were all in the plains, other than Bassfield. So. I love how if you look it up, it tells you that Tri-State was number 2, and Tupelo, Gainesville was number 3, and then Great Natchez and St. Louis. All of those tornadoes, except for El Reno, occurred before 1930. So, definitely not enough information to confirm that. Again, the actual official list is... Here we go. Well, those are deadliest. Give me largest. I looked up largest, and it keeps telling me deadliest. Oh, that's where I was getting the list from, was the deadliest tornadoes. Well, I don't know why they'd have El Reno at number 1 then. Bro, how are we dragging the low taper fade meme into 2025? It is April. That is actually insane. We are already a third of the way done with 2025. We are basically in May. I thought about it the other day. Tornado season it's got like a month left. I don't know how that happened. I mean, it just like flew by. I think it's because it was like a weirder play season. Again, obviously most of our activity came in March, and then April was kind of boring. But I mean, it is like that, and we're done. I mean, it's crazy. I will say though, there's always that one stretch in May, usually it's in late May, where the plains in the Midwest just pop off. It happened last year, happened in 2023, happened in 2022, happened in 2021, happened in 2020, I think. 2020 was more of a Dixie-focused year overall, though, so I'm not too sure about that. But either way, you get the point. Alrighty. So again, still some pretty impressive rotation there near Ringstead, Iowa. If you're in this area, make sure you are staying in your safe spot just south of Armstrong. They're likely going to extend this tornado warning towards Swee City, so be prepared to seek shelter if you are in that area. We just got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning as well for our Kansas storm. Now one for golf ball sized hail near Cottage Hill and Waterville, so make sure you're moving indoors and away from windows immediately. Again, at this point, things are going to be kind of boring, I think, until those discrete Iowa storms get going. And then that's where the main part of the event happens tonight. Again, we get this little round of mini action, and then it's going to be a big wait. And then I think once those Iowa cells get going, if they do, we are going to be getting quite serious. But that's just my take. The newest run of the NAM actually is quite interesting. We'll take a look at it. If it would like to load, that would just be amazing. There we go. It doesn't have any discrete supercells, which, if that plays out, that would be incredible. But keep in mind, that run came in around 4 hours ago. Not 4 hours ago, that's an exaggeration, but like 2 hours ago. And every run since then on the HRRR has liked the idea of discrete supercells. And if you go back to 18Z on the HRRR, you can see that it wasn't thinking that quite as much. So that means that there's been a clear uptick in storm mode here, especially across far northeast Iowa, over the past couple hours. So I really think that we are going to have quite a night here in northern Iowa once the main round starts to come in here. But anyway. We do have some pretty impressive rotation now approaching Kenyon. We have for a little bit. It's been kind of hard to tell if it was contaminated or not, but this, I mean, it's definitely at least somewhat impressive rotation. This is what your storm relative velocities look like. So again, broad but strong rotation. They're approaching Kenyon and Nerstrand. If you're in this area, seek shelter. But yeah, the past week or so has been a storm chaser's dream. We've had so many photogenic tornadoes in just flat open country where nobody lives. The RG tornado. How is it going, my dude? 3-inch hail in Texas. Was that with our Fort Stockton storm? Oh, wow, yeah. Well, thank you for tuning in. Yeah, this is now warned for large apple-sized hail. Thank you for letting me know. Whoa, Smurf with the $2 donation. W Smurfs down below in the chat. Thank you for your interest in all things weather. I say this all the time, but if I wasn't here streaming this for you guys, I would be doing this in my free time anyway, so I'm glad that you guys love watching me do this. And I'm glad that we get to help people in the process. But Smurf, thank you so much for the $2 donation. W Smurfs down below in the chat. Let's go. We did just get a new tornado warning in Iowa here. We'll go over that in just a second. But we're going to go ahead and throw you up on the dono board there, Smurf. Again, thank you so much for the $2 dono. W Smurfs in the chat if you have not already. Alright. So, again, that new tornado warning there in Iowa, it's an extension for our area of rotation associated with our supercell south of Armstrong. This is for Swee City and Bancroft. As we mentioned, this tornado warning has now been issued here. So if you're in this area, seek shelter immediately. Again, that broad but strong area of rotation continuing to approach Kenyon. And then, again, we have that destructive storm in Texas now, warned for large apple-sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour near Sterling City. So if you're in Sterling City, again, preferably be seeking shelter. Alright. How's it going, Alan? Welcome back. Whoa, William with the $10 donation. W. Williams in the chat. My goodness. Everybody here is just goated today. Thank you so much, William, for the $10 donation. That's incredible. Everybody spam those W. Williams in the chat. He's always, again, like, so amazing every stream. So thank you so much, William, for the $10 donation. Again, spam down below those W. Williams if you've not already. That is incredible. Again, donating is optional, but for those of you that do go above and beyond and decide to donate, that is amazing. So thank you so much, William, for the $10 donation. As always, you're incredible, dude. Let's go. Again, W. Williams in the chat. Again, this is a very long evening of coverage, so I appreciate all the donations. I feel like there was something I was going to say. I don't remember. Oh, that's right. The tornado warning has been extended for the area of rotation near Kenyon that we've been talking about for a while now. This includes the northwest side of Rochester, Minnesota, including Pine Island, Goodhue, Zumbrata, Kenyon, and the Highway 52 corridor between Rochester and Cannon Falls. If you're in this area, seek shelter immediately. Not only do we have that clear area of rotation, but also potentially damaging winds of 60 to 70 miles an hour approaching. So, again, make sure you are seeking shelter. As this extremely dangerous thunderstorm is coming your way. Alrighty. So again, thank you so much, William, Mayday especially, and Smurf for all the donations. Again, this area rotation is continuing to strengthen near Kenyon, so we're going to continue to watch this. I really think that this is probably going to try and do something very shortly. Again, getting quite strong near Epsom and Kenyon. Wow. Yeah, again, I don't know if it's going to be one 3-hour stream, 3 1-hour streams, or anywhere else in between that corridor. I mean, it could be anything. Because we don't know how long this break is going to be in between the linear storms and the supercells in Iowa. We don't know if the supercells are going to develop in Iowa at all. And we also don't know if these linear modes are done bringing us land spouts and tornadoes. Because, I mean, this area of rotation near Kenyon is very impressive. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Chapman, Kansas. This is still for tennis ball sized hail and 60 mile an hour wind gusts. If you're in this area, make sure you are moving indoors and away from windows immediately. Again, going back down to our storm near Fort Stockton, continuing that warning there for large apple-sized hail. So if you're in this area, make sure you are staying in your safe spot. Okay, so this is where things start to get a little interesting. We do have some little baby thunderstorms here starting to develop west of Abilene. If these can get their act together and merge properly without killing each other, there's the very real chance of these producing a tornado or two over the next couple of hours. So if you're out here in northwest Texas, west central Texas, make sure that you are prepared, have multiple ways to receive alerts, and stay tuned into the streams. I know we've got a lot of viewers out there from that area, so we'll keep an eye on those. Again, continuing to watch our broad but strong area of rotation approaching Kenyon. Again, the storm relative velocities give you a good look at that there. Been quite intense there for a little while. Looks like we kind of got a velocity handoff feature happening. So our rotation may be shifting off to the east just a little bit, which would put it right over Kenyon. Either that or it's just getting larger as a whole, which is very possible. Well, that would just be the storm mode being linear, William, because we haven't seen any like discrete supercells yet, for the most part. So, again, linear modes typically only bring damaging wind gusts, and that's exactly what these are doing. Again, a couple of land spouts and tornadoes have still occurred, so far, I mean, there's nothing really that has been, quote-unquote, underperforming with these, I guess I'd say. I know you didn't say that, but just saying in general. New severe watch. What? I would doubt that. I mean, it's possible. Are you saying, like, they may issue one? I don't think they will, because this is very isolated, discrete development here. It's mainly just going to be some hail. But it's not impossible. Oh, they did? Alright, I'm not very smart. Before we get into that, tornado warning continues here for Bancrofts in Iowa and Swee City. Again, we do have Storm Chaser Freddie McKinney, I believe, on that storm, if I'm not mistaken here. Yeah, so he is going to be in Buffalo Center, which would be right, basically, in this storm. And again, Storm Media also out here near Rake. So we're going to have multiple views of this if it does try to spin up a tornado here. But we do have a new severe thunderstorm watch for parts of the northern plains. So we'll go ahead and bring that up on your screen here. Did they issue it? I don't even see it on the SBC website yet. Let me check Twitter. Okay, there it is. So, hail up to lime size possible, damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles an hour possible. Again, that's going out for parts of South Dakota, Nebraska, and Iowa. So, we'll watch those supercells as they move east. But our broad rotation continuing to be quite strong there, right over Kenyon. So again, possible tornado trying to develop with that. Unfortunately, we don't really have any chasers out there at this point, and we only have one spotter. So we're not going to be able to have a great knowledge of this, if this touches down or not, and if it does, it'll likely be rain-wrapped anyways. So we'll see, but very clear indication there on reflectivity and velocities of a developing tornado, or at least the tornado trying to develop again. That inflow pokes quite far into the storm there. Can you see it on CC? You can't see the inflow on CC. Sometimes you can. And I guess we're a little far away from radar for that, but the legend, the man, the twist or whisper, the great Freddy, indeed. Freddy's goated. So again, rotation continuing to be strong there near Kenyon and Asplund. And our Iowa storm is continuing to stay tornado warned. And that's where all of our chasers are at right now. Again, if we do see a tornado develop with this here near Kenyon, it could be somewhat problematic because there are several communities out here. Although small, they're still communities nonetheless. So, we'll hope that that doesn't happen. Again, if it does develop, it would not be a very strong tornado. It would be quite weak. Again, it's a QLCS tornado, so I should do a Bureau Garden documentary. Honestly, there are a lot of tornadoes that I need to just lock in on and talk about, because I know that you guys love those videos, and they're a great way to grow my channel. They just take so long. I do like making them, though. Alrighty. So, again, we're going to watch this Iowa storm here quite closely. Again, there's that new severe thunderstorm watch going out for portions of the northern plains. And then back into Texas, our storm is still destructive near Sterling City. So again, if you're in this area, make sure you are getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Preferably on the lowest floor of a sturdy building, as well as that wind-driven hail is going to be nasty. If you have time, bring your car into the garage, because there's definitely going to be the potential for some windshield shattering down there. But, okay. So, again, the velocities here continuing to look very broad but very strong. So, possible tornado trying to develop there just east of Kenyon at this point. New severe thunderstorm warning just issued for Lamar's, Remsen, and Sutherland, Iowa. This is for half-dollar-sized hail and damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. So if you're in this area, make sure you are staying indoors and away from windows. Again, our area of rotation near Kenyon, quite strong. So, new mesoscale discussion for Oklahoma mentions 120 to 150 and very large hail. Yeah, again, I'm not going to lie. Southwest Oklahoma is, I don't think it's more impressive overall, but I think there's a much higher floor for the Oklahoma event. I think that, oh, that was a bad voice crack. I think at the least, we are going to see at least a couple of brief tornadoes out here in southwest Oklahoma. At the least here tonight in the Midwest, we may not see anything tornadic. Again, I mean, we've seen a couple of land spouts and a couple of very brief, fully condensed tornadoes, but I think overall, the Oklahoma event has a better likelihood of doing something impressive. New severe thunderstorm warning for Altus there, as this dual supercell over Chillicothe continues to push north. Again, these developed super quickly. They're splitting off too, so these could both become discrete and produce tornadoes down the line. They're at least going to have the possibility to. And again, this convection west of Abilene, man, we talked about this. This is going to become quite concerning quite quickly. Another new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be going out for parts of the UP of Michigan. It's an extension for our storm that originally hit the Crystal Falls area. It's moving quite quickly. It's moving out to the northeast there at about 65 miles an hour. As that approaches Republic along Highway 95, you guys need to be indoors. Some quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour winds going to be a possibility there. Again, tornado threat remains very low, but it's not impossible. Instability values just aren't incredible out here. But yeah. And another new severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be going out for sections of Kansas. It's an extension for a storm that just hit the Waterville area. So parts of Highway 36 in between Marysville and Axtell for quarter-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. If you're in this area, make sure you are getting indoors. Again, some huge hail here. Some gorilla hail approaching Manhattan and Ogden. I think the event will bust, and that's what I'm hoping for. I hope it does, man. I hope it does. I just don't think that's very likely. Again, one of our modes will almost certainly perform. I will say the hot time for Iowa is now. Like, if it's going to try, it's got to go now, and it's got to hurry. Supercells were already supposed to be firing by this time. And I mean, HRRR still has them going, but keep in mind, last run of the HRRR, I guess they didn't have them going until 7 either. So, we'll see. Again, north central Iowa, man. That's the target. That is the doggone target there. Again, very broad but still very strong rotation over Asplund, approaching Bell Creek and Goodhue in Minnesota. Just northwest of Rochester, and another new severe thunderstorm warning as well going out for South Dakota storm north of Yankton. If you're in this area, make sure you're getting indoors. Again, we will see if the storms fire here. Look how this one spotter is perfectly in the hail core on the new Estates Triple R run. Tornado warning continues for a Minnesota storm. I'm going to be honest here, chat. I think we're probably going to end off our live coverage because we don't have anything immediately concerning. Again, our rotation is strong here, approaching Zumbrata, but it's very broad. And I don't think it's going to do anything tornadic in the near future. Maybe some significant damaging winds. And then our Iowa storm, I mean, there's not really any indication that that's going to be any different. I mean, this is literally where the velocity couplet is over. I mean, we don't have any impressive signs of structure or tornadic development. So we may briefly end off our broadcasting here and then come back later tonight for Northern Iowa. But I do want to quickly thank you all for tuning in. Again, huge shout out to Mayday, William, and as well as Smurf for all the donations. I mean, you guys are incredibly generous, as always, so I really do appreciate that, y'all. But I think it's time to cut off our end here and then come back later tonight. So again, I thank you all for tuning in. Make sure to come back later, and I will see you all in... What does Freddy have? What is going on there, man? Hold on, before we cut off our feed here, let's see what's going on.
To be fair, I was on the phone, and all I hear is tornado on the ground, and I about broke my goddamn neck, so...
I think we have an ongoing tornado.
I guess.
I missed this. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got gas at Buffalo Center.
I don't know. We definitely had at least some sort of land spout there for a second.
You're probably percent now.
Alright, it looks like there was at least something there for a little bit, but we are going to end off our feed here for real this time, so again, thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you guys all in the next one. Peace.